Oh, fuck off with Sucker Punch. Your love for that movie will never be understood. Well, it is understood, I just don't want to say on camera why you love that movie. Because you're a sick pervert.
I'm not a sick pervert. It's like,
Yeah, you are.
I'm not defending it, I don't care at this point. Hate me. I like that movie.
It's terrible.
Yeah. Actually, watching it again recently, the part that I did like is a little bit like the acting. It's kind of bad, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's bad acting.
Yes.
But I haven't quite done it right. I like the beginning where they're doing the Sweet Dreams Are Made of This
Yeah.
song, kind of dark. I like all that kind of imagery, but I went back and I was like, oh, I wasn't done right.
Yeah.
See what you were going for?
It's an incredibly...
Nearly.
I think what annoys me about it is that it's a shallow movie trying to be deep. And I think that's what's frustrating about it is it's like that person who's in their first year of college and they start talking to you about like a subject they've just been introduced to as if they are fully and deeply entrenched in it and have this great understanding of things you could never understand.
Yeah.
I'm not like that, fuck you. Bitch.
The one thing that you should like about it, though, that I like about it, is I like the fact.
I like the tits and ass, but it's just, that's it.
I like the fact that when it gets to the end, like you're following mainly Baby Doll, aren't you?
Yeah.
And it's her story, and she's special, and that typical thing where you're special and it's all about you.
Yeah.
And the message at the end is actually it's not. Sometimes you're just a side character in somebody else's life, and that's
Yeah.
what she is. She's not important. She's not the main person here. She's not the one with the really deep story.
But she is. She's
not.
the Jesus figure. She's the one who sacrifices herself, actually martyrs herself to save her friend. So
Yeah, she's martyred
it's not
herself,
that at all. It's, in fact, I think Cloverfield is more of a representation of that than anything else. Because the cameraman, the guy whose perspective you see from the entire movie, is just the side character. He's a screw up. He's not important. He's just a guy holding the camera.
She's not even really a martyr because you know there's that guy who appears in their dreams, their commander,
Yeah.
right? It's kind of like a choice because he comes up with a plan. He tells the girls what to do.
Okay.
He assigns their roles, right? So sometimes different girls take the lead in different missions, right? In the mind. And in Baby Doll's missions, he does tell her at the beginning you need to make sacrifice.
Yeah.
So he's in control. He already planned. It's kind of like he knows he planned the fate of everybody. So
But-
it's not even like her.
She's still martyred herself. She's still at the very end, when it's not a daydream, when it is just them in the real world.
They're not
she
in the real world
decides,
at the end.
They are.
No, they're not. The whole stripper thing is not the real world.
No, not the stripper thing. They're in the gate to the asylum.
Yeah, that's not the real.
The asylum is
Well,
the
where
real
she's
world.
dressed up, it's not. That's another twist. You think it's just the video game world and the asylum world, but it's not. There's 2 asylum worlds and a video game world. There's 3 worlds
No, but
in the movie.
there's the asylum, the burlesque.
No, it's not. The burlesque isn't real.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying.
And at the
There's
end,
the
it's real.
asylum, the burlesque, and the video game thing.
Yeah, but you know at the end, it's the burlesque thing when she sacrifices herself. She's in the high roller has come and she's in this jazzy outfit with all
I
these sequins and there's
remember-
all these like pimp guys with cigars in the courtyard.
I remember it
And
being
she-
that was the asylum scene, but I guess I'm misremembering
She's
it.
in the asylum, yeah, but she's not actually.
What I'm
I
trying
think
to-
it happens, but you don't see how it really happened.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say though is she decides to be the one who sacrifices herself so the other one can get away. She martyrs herself.
I get the fact it's kind of about herself, but she doesn't really decide. He's kind of the guardian angel guy. He's described as an angel at the beginning. Angel guy basically decides what to do. I think it's like with 6 girls to save one of them.
Yeah.
He's the guardian angel of the girl who escapes at the end, and he gives roles and missions and stuff to all the girls because he's trying to get the other one out, not
Yeah.
Baby Doll. And he tells Baby Doll, gives her a role, and she's got 2 things to do. Number 1 is to kind of in the burlesque world, she encourages people to stay with the plan,
Yeah.
to deliver and stay with the plan, and the other one is to basically be a sacrifice at the end. But she doesn't really decide it. It's not possible for her to escape at the end. That's not how he made it. He's
Then-
not her guardian angel.
Okay, but then she's still a Jesus figure. Because
Well, there
that
are
means
Jesus figures.
what I mean is so let me finish, okay? If you consider the guardian angel to be the god figure in this, and Baby Doll is the Jesus figure, she's the one who is given as a sacrifice so the one can get away and live her life free of the thing, sin.
They all self-sacrifice though.
Yeah, but I think she's
Like,
the main one.
There's the girl who
She's the
stabs.
point of view character.
I think so. I think she stabs the cook or something. Or she brings the attention onto herself and like stabs the cook and gets killed.
Yeah, it's
And
not.
the other one takes responsibility and gets shot. And the other one,
It's not the most deep movie in the world.
yeah, I mean they all get themselves killed. Only one person I think gets themselves killed on accident.
Yeah.
On accident. But yeah, I'm just saying.
Terrible movie.
I liked the idea, the fundamental idea.
Yeah, the idea
of
isn't
sometimes
a bad idea. It's
you
just,
are not the special one. Sometimes you are playing a role in somebody else's life, in somebody else's big moment, in their big story, in their life-changing experience.
not-
And you are just
It's not a bad idea though. It's just
Different one.
there are other movies and other stories that do it better.
I actually think more movies should be like that because I know there
But
are.
Telltale Walking Dead.
Yeah, but it doesn't do.
You play Lee, who is not the main character. Clementine is, and she's the one who survives, and you sacrifice yourself at the end so that she can continue on.
Don't get me wrong, I love Telltale, and they do that really, really well. But that's more the story of the parenting role. Like you will always die for your children, or you should always die for your children. You always put your children. Your children are always more important to
Yeah,
you. Their life
but-
always becomes the focus. It's not the same. That's the parenting story narrative. I'm not saying this like a punch did it brilliantly. I'm just saying there should be more movies, especially aimed at a younger audience. I think that do the narrative of sometimes it's not all about you. Sometimes it's not your big moment. You're not the special one. Sometimes you are just one of the other.
I get you. I just,
think that message needs to come across a bit more.
I really didn't like the movie.
I know.
I feel
you
bad
didn't. That's
because
fine.
I know
a lot
how
of
much-
people don't like the movie. It's
I know
widely
how
accepted.
much you like it, and I do.
But
I just,
like it for.
I do not understand how.
But the thing is, 80% of the reason I like it is undefendable. I like it in the same way, like
At least you
because
know,
it's
admit it.
ridiculous shit, right? And then I would say the other 20% is justifiable because I like the art style, the cinematography in it.
Yeah,
I think
fair.
that's genuine. If you like that kind of imagery, that kind of dark, gloomy
Yeah.
stuff, then it does that well. You can't say it doesn't
Mm.
because it does. But the other 80%, and I do like that bit at the end.
Would you
That would make
describe
it
it as a
5%.
guilty pleasure?
Um,
Something you know you shouldn't like, but you like anyway.
I don't know. No, I wouldn't. And I tell you, I can be guilty. I don't know. I wouldn't say because is it wrong? Like, would you call something like okay, you know people they watch porn,
Okay.
right? Is that a guilty pleasure?
Porn.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Is that implies you should feel guilty, right, for watching?
I don't know, because I think you watch porn for the specific reason of, fiddling with yourself, whereas I think with a guilty pleasure, it's specifically a movie that it needs to be a movie or a book. It could be a porn, but the idea is that you like it despite the fact you know that there's not really anything defendable about it to like. Like, for example, a guilty pleasure of mine, which I shall admit right now, is a movie called Made in Manhattan, which is a terrible,
Really?
terrible chick flick. But I watched it when I was like really little, and it just, when you're exposed to something when you're really young, it kind of
Yeah.
just sticks in your mind then, and that's it. It's there forever.
That's weird to think. So me and you would have really liked because I really like Made in Manhattan, and I used to watch it with my maid.
Oh wow.
And she liked.
I hated them. I know I shouldn't
Oh my
like it. I know it's not that good a movie,
No, it's
even
okay.
on the terms of chick flicks. And by chick flicks, I mean like romantic comedies that are really no. I wouldn't call Bridesmaids a chick flick. I would call a chick flick a movie that is specifically pandering to female stereotypes, not a movie made for women, but a movie made specifically to get at those stereotypes that people assume women should enjoy. That's what I would call a chick flick. Bridesmaids is fucking awesome. I wouldn't call it a chick flick because it doesn't just pander to the lowest common denominator
Yeah,
of what it
it's-
expects women to like. It's actually a good movie that's just aimed at women. Whereas, and the same thing can be said with really bad guy movies, where you know a bad guy movie when it's just mindless action, and then the guy gets the girl at the end for no fucking reason. They've had like a line of dialogue together, and she's just all over him. That's a bad guy movie that's been aimed at guys on the lowest common denominator.
Is it
But yeah, Made in Manhattan is a chick flick. It's a bad movie that exploits the lowest common denominator amongst women. Going for all those like, it hits all the points. Like lower class woman meets upper class guy. you know, all those kind of things, cross-star lovers, you know, it hits every point, it hits everything, and it's bad, but I like it, because I watched it when I was a kid, and it stuck with me from then on, even though I didn't even understand it the first time I watched it. Didn't even get the fucking pun in the title when I first watched it.
What is the fucking movie that I quite a lot? Pretty Woman.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen Pretty
No,
Woman?
I haven't.
Haven't seen
I want
Pretty
to.
Woman,
It's
never
meant to be another... It's meant to be pretty good, that one, to be fair
mind.
to
Yeah,
it.
because that's another one, like, a bit like, right, we think it's a chick flick, but I'm not sure if you would class it as that.
No, I think
because
that
there's
one, I haven't seen it, but it's meant to be smart. So, you know. Again, I think the term chick flick is actually good for describing a very specific type of movie. You know?
What do you call the men movies?
I don't know, dick
Say it.
flicks. I think that works.
There's not really a word for it, there is a...
No, but I think it was a nostalgia critic who used it first. He said the idea of chick flicks and dick flicks, that they are movies. That's where I got my description of the lowest common denominator with chick flicks, because he described the idea really well, and I think it's a very good way of doing it. Yeah, I think dick flick is also a really good term for it as well, because it rhymes with chick and it gets to the point. You know, it's not about it being it's not about it being a movie aimed for men or women. It's about the quality and what it actually goes for. You know, if it exploits stereotypes or not. It's the kind of thing like exploitation movies of the 80s and 70s, where they are movies deliberately designed to exploit a certain culture. So like, you know, your black exploitation, gay exploitation, where everything's dialed up to the nines, you know.
Yeah.
And it's really, you know, it's not exactly Hollywood's finest moment. I think it's the same thing, similar, you know.
I think I know what my guilty pleasure would be as far as watching stuff. So exactly movies. It's okay. So it's not horror.
You're Pretty Little Liars. It is, isn't it?
No, it wasn't actually.
That's fucking awful.
But that is fucking awful. Yes. That
And you
would
love
count.
it.
That would count.
That is definitely a guilty pleasure of yours.
Yes, it
And you
is.
should feel
There's
ashamed.
so much wrong with it. So much wrong with it. I believe in fact I could rant about that, but
On the topic of porn as guilty pleasures, what I would say with that would be something like bizarre, like, I don't know, leprechaun porn or something, which apparently is really big on St. Patrick's Day.
yeah, but okay. Here's my thought process about. So I'm going to that. Here's my thought process about psychology being guilty pleasure for the objectification of women versus porn, right?
Okay?
Because that's why you're supposed to feel guilty, because it's the objectification of women.
So I wouldn't even
Just
say that.
Throwing it out there.
I wouldn't even say that's why.
That's a large part of why people hate it though.
Yeah, because it's vapid and, yeah, it exploits women.
It's just like you've said before, it's just an excuse to get women in different
Loads of
types of fetish
fetish outfits,
outfits.
yeah.
Because the burlesque thing and the dancing, training leotard, and then the fighting, and yeah. That is just a way of getting all these different fetish outfits and stuff into one movie and then getting them to jump around a lot
Yeah.
with these outfits on, right? That is the number one issue that people take with this movie. Things like it pretends to be deep when it's not,
Yeah.
the acting shit. That is a thing, but that's not why people on
I know,
like it. And
no,
that's
that's
not
the
why
thing
it makes
though.
me
I think
guilty.
that is why it got such a backlash though. Because it was doing all the stuff that, like, you know, exploiting women and... No, I wouldn't call it exploiting women, right, firstly. I'd say it...
Or objectifying, sorry.
No, it didn't even objectify. It's just using them... What am I trying to say?
I think you're trying to say it's not exploiting.
No, it's sexually exploiting women to get guys in the seats, right? And I think most people would be absolutely okay with that. It's nothing new. But what pissed everyone off was the fact it tried to have its cake and eat it. It tried to do that and seem smart at the same time. And I think the one thing no one can stand is a pretentious movie without any backbone. And that's what that was.
I think like when I watched it, I didn't read into what the director said about it or any of the press surrounding it. I just watched the movie. So the idea that it was trying to sell itself as something that it wasn't did not come into it for me. It was just one of those things. I saw it advertised in cinema. I think I was just with like a couple of friends. We were bored in Tongcheng one day or some shit. We're like, oh, let's go see a movie. What's on? Oh, this movie. This looks okay. Let's go watch that movie. And that was kind of it. Didn't give much thought to it. Just didn't read up on it. Just watched it. I think that makes a difference.
Yeah.
If you've seen someone be a dick about the movie. But I mean, you know, people say it's gentlemen women. The story is about literally turning a woman into an object. They literally do that. So they don't.
Well, yeah, that's why I wouldn't call it objectifying women, because that was kind of the main theme of it.
Yeah, but it's kind of funny. They try to. on that note, it is a movie about women being empowered and fighting against the fact they're being objectified as in lobotomized, you know?
Yeah.
And they do it by objectifying themselves.
Yeah.
Why be objectified by a perverted man?
Again-
when you can when you can be objectified by a nice old one, which is essentially
I
what
don't-
happens. Or a woman who also
I've said this before though, I don't like the term objectification because I think it implies something very different to exploiting women.
Well, they're two different
Where
things, though, aren't they?
I think Sucker Punch is a movie with an anti-objectification message, and it does that while exploiting the women in it. It exploits their sexual, let's say,
Nature.
yeah,
Assets.
yeah, it exploits their assets to give across the message that is an anti-objectification message. Because in the movie, it's actually talking about objectification. The girls in it are not treated like people. You know, the guy in it wants to turn them into...
Yeah,
you know,
they're being pimped out, so.
yeah, so that is objectification, they're property. Whereas, you know, dressing them up in skimpy outfits,
Yeah.
that isn't objectification, that's exploitation. That is the idea of, like, making them look sexy and getting them to go and do stuff. But they're not objects in that, they have agency, they're going to go and fight shit and, you know.
Yeah, they're being.
But a good example is Mad Max. Mad Max...
Well, that's not an example of objectification. Or
It is, though. That's the thing. The entire movie is about objectification. Because, so Mad Max is a movie all about, and I mean Fury Road, right?
Yeah.
It's all about objectification. Because, if you think about it, you know the main villain in it, Immortal Joe? He wants his wives back, right?
Yeah.
But he doesn't treat them as people. He treats them as something to give him children,
Yeah.
right? And he even has women who he uses as cows. He literally objectifies them. He uses
Yeah, I
them
remember that.
to make milk. You know the war boys?
Yeah.
They are literally, they're bred to be his minions, to die whenever he wills it, you know?
Finish
Like,
point.
Mad Max in it gets literally objectified. He gets made into a blood bag. He literally gets objectified.
Yeah.
I think the entire movie is based around the idea of objectification and then liberation. Like, that's the point. Immortal Joe objectifies people.
But because the movie's about a world where they are being objectified, that is established. That is not coincidental. That is what it's about.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Liberation.
The
Yeah,
theme.
so it's not really an example of objectification. Like,
I meant in movies, like the idea of it. It's a movie that directly tackles objectification.
Exactly.
It's like the main themes of the movie.
Yeah. Because
Oh,
like you
yeah.
said, the difference is objectification is when you have a movie and there's just kind of women in it who don't even have lines or very little, and they're just kind of there because they're attractive, not
Yeah.
because they want them to
Yeah.
act.
There's the movie, you know the movie Cage we got the review of? The one with Red Brown and the guy who plays the Hulk.
Yeah,
Plays by the
yeah, I
Hulk.
remember that.
In the second one, the bad guy has a jacuzzi in the corner of his office with two lesbians in it in the background who are just like soaping each other, and they don't say anything.
It's really bad,
No
isn't
one
it?
acknowledges them. They're just there in the background.
Yeah.
That's objectification. That is when they aren't. But then, I personally, you know, at that level, I think it's fine. As long as you have other, you know, it's not really that big a problem. It establishes that he is the bad guy. He is
I
the
think
villain.
The issue is more, especially that movie, which is the 80s, early 80s.
Yeah, or late 80s, actually.
Anyway, is it comes out in a time where the movies are predominantly about men and women are being exploited and objectified. It's okay in a movie. It's a movie, right? Like in a movie, you get child actors pretending like they manage. Obviously, the child normally doesn't know what they're playing. That they're being sexually abused or something like that. You can make horrible shit happen to people in movies.
Yeah.
That is a movie. Or the world can be a horrible place. But the issue is, I think, when you've got this great across media
Yeah.
game stuff where you just constantly see women as objects or exploited, like, and there's not a balance between because like you know, like Mad Max
Yeah.
is objectified in Fury Road,
Yes.
but you can point to lots of movies where men have full agency, stuff
Yeah.
like that. You go back especially to when that movie came out. How many movies could you point to where they're focusing on women and women's agency and women's
Alien.
lives and stuff like that? Yeah, Alien is it's always hoisted up there.
Yeah, because it's
And,
everyone's favourite, I think
yeah,
it's put up there so high because it's most people's favourite movie with a female lead, because it's that
Yeah,
good.
it is
And
really
I
good.
think it's kind of it proves that this can be done. They just need a director to do it correctly.
I think that's where the problem is for people. It's not, I mean, some people I think it is just they have a fundamental issue with it, but I think it's the fact that I would struggle to think of 5 examples of male objectification
Yeah, that's fair
in a
enough.
movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, even if you compare what happens to Mad Max and Fury Road, I mean, everyone's to an extent objectified, even when they're liberating themselves. They're still somewhat objectified because they don't, not objectified, but they don't really have that much choice
Yeah.
in a lot of their decisions. Their agency is partly removed by the fact they're being chased by a bunch of psychopaths. So it's like, I choose to drive the lorry at a fast speed. Mad Max isn't really choosing to drive the lorry. He's very limited. But I would, like, that is not the worst by any means form of objectification. Like, because he starts off as a free spirit, Mad Max. He's in a world that's crazy, but he was free.
Yeah.
And he becomes free and he turns into a bloodbath for like a scene, but he escapes very quickly and is again free, so he's not objectified that much. And I would struggle to pinpoint 5 examples of male objectification, whereas female objectification, I could sit here and reel off just until you tell me the word
Right.
stop. So I think that's the issue. And then if you said brilliant male leads and stories, and
But I
something,
agree with you with
then
that.
I can't do it on the vice versa, you know?
I agree with you with that though.
Yeah. So I think that's the issue is what I mean. It's not the fundamental there's something wrong. Like for me, it's not about you can't objectify women. Or you can't objectify
It
women. I
needs to be
think
more
the issue is
equal.
more I think it's the same issue that people have with minority films. I mean, I personally don't think it's fundamentally wrong to have someone play a stereotype.
Yeah.
I think it goes to a load of it's not very creative, it's not very impressive because, you know, it's not a difficult thing to do. But I mean, what is it like the Hangover movies?
Yeah.
They have some stereotypes in that, right? But it's okay because they mixed it in. But it's kind of like, but I would prefer to see I want to see some movies with like, you know, like minorities, because it's interesting. Like minorities live in kind of
Yeah.
they're obviously part of our community, but they're in as well in a lot of places like their own kind of little cultural bubble.
But that's
And
like
it's
why
great to see
I
them
got
being
so
represented.
pissed off though at World War Z.
Oh god, yeah, that
Because
just
the World War Z, the book,
angry.
was showing perspectives of loads of different types of people from all around the world. And the movie One Guy from America.
Yeah, because we really don't have enough movies about, especially in particular, white male Americans, soldiers with guns
Yeah.
who are tough. And yeah, we really don't have enough movies about that. Like, why would you want to know what a child who, you know, stuck it out in the mountains of, I think, where should we go? Slovakia, and women in Russia, and the man in Israel, and the taxi driver, and the people who worked in Paris underground. No, fuck those people. We know all about those people. We always get interested in knowing about those people. I want to know about American hoorah, like soldier men.
Yeah.
Fucking irritating.
I think I know the reason.
I know this story. I know the apocalypse
Yeah.
story. I know American apocalypse is done to death. Fuck you.
They do it because it's easy.
Yeah.
Because there's a book 1,000,000 pages long that they can refer to that tells them exactly how to do this point by point to make it something that's watchable. Whereas with using a lead that isn't the standard takes a bit more effort,
Yeah.
you know? And it's a bit more of a risk. Or they perceive it to be a risk financially.
Yeah. And I think there's a thing as well, like, you know, if you look at movies that people hold in really high regard,
Yeah.
normally I'm talking about like move on 5 years to a decade, 2 decades after they were made, right?
Yeah.
Because they are cinematically wonderful, they have a brilliant story, the topics were great. They are often don't do well in their time,
Yeah.
or had to fight against a lot in their time. And I think that's the thing. I think it's like short-sighted that a lot of these production companies and stuff, they want, and even I think some of the creative director people, they want to make a good name for themselves. They want to be part of a good selling movie because that's what gives you a good
Yeah.
profile. And so all they're looking at is the box office, like the first week takings in particular. We want to, on the first day of the first week, we want to take this much because then it's successful.
Yeah.
We don't care what people think 2 years from now. It's
then-
not important. Whereas then there's some people
I
who
will say-
bankrupt themselves to make.
I think it has
Time is
gotten better because, for example, you know the original Mad Max movie made in Australia, right? On like the budget it cost for a ham sandwich. Like they wanted to originally get an American actor, like a proper actor, like who's been in movies and stuff from America, because that's where you get the most experienced actors at that time to play Mad Max. But they didn't have the budget, so they got someone who was relatively unknown and local, which is, as we know now, Mel Gibson, right? Who turned out to be fucking nuts, but that's beside the point. Anyway, they made the movie, and you know, when it came to America, it didn't do all that well. Wanna know why? They dubbed it. They dubbed over the entire movie because they didn't think Americans could understand Australians. The entire movie was dubbed. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But after a while they released the original version and it did much better.